New World Order, you underestimated the people. You took a gamble and you lost.
Okay, we don't like this. Okay, well then we're going to do this. And that is just how it's going to be.
Evidence brought to light that there is a corrupt officer, or that officer did shoot that kid on purpose.
I don't care how I look, I don't care how I sound, I don't care what the beat is. I just care the message gets across.
What's up, everyone? This is the Tin Man with the Resistance. If you're watching this, you are the Resistance. And today we are going to discuss the transgender issue. Now, a lot of people have been asking us what our thoughts and opinions are regarding this issue and what the official standpoint for society should be on this topic. Now, many people would argue that transgenders are just being perverted, they want to go into women's restrooms, blah blah blah, and in some cases that may be true. However, there's a lot of underlying issues here. One, you don't need to be a transgender or even be a man trapped in a woman's body or a woman trapped in a man's body, or to even insinuate that, to go into a restroom that's not your designated gender. You have perverts and rapists who go into women's restrooms all the time and peep on women or even rape women. It's been happening for years. So the pretext that you're using the transgender thing as an excuse to enter the bathroom of the opposite sex is kind of stupid, because if a pervert or a rapist or something wants to go in to that bathroom, they're gonna go into that bathroom, and they don't need to claim gender identity in order to do that. Now, with the gender identity issue as far as politics is concerned, I've said it before and I've said it again. The United States government is supposed to be by the people, for the people, and it should go before the people as to what they want and majority rule, not just the Obama administration going, oh, this is what you're going to fucking do, or you're going to get penalized for it. That's not the government's job, that's not Congress's job, that's not the Senate's job, the Supreme Court, or the presidential administration's job to tell you what you can and cannot do. It is by the people, for the people. Or did you forget that, Mr. Obama? You know, I know you're from Kenya and all that shit, but you know, you might want to freshen up on the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights and start applying that in your official position, at least for the remainder of your term, because you clearly don't understand what it is to be an American, let alone represent a country and the will of the people, which we all know you're not doing. So I digress there. You're a fucking idiot, and I will be glad when you're gone. You know, and I just pray to God that, you know, maybe we can actually get a real American in presidential office for once. But anyway, back to the transgender issue. This is a very touchy subject, because it seems to focus mostly on men wanting to be women and use women's restrooms and women's locker rooms. But there's a flip side to this. What about women who identify as a man? Now, we're not talking about people who have actually gone through a sex change. They're male or female that identify themselves as being the opposite sex, even though they are respective male or female. Now, we focused on males going into women's locker rooms and restrooms, but what about women going into the men's room and men's locker rooms? Now, I notice this happens a lot in schools, and that seems to be a primary focus as of late. So let's investigate that. You have a girl, especially in high school, who identifies as a boy, but is actually born a girl and has not gone through a sex change. What kind of a position is that going to put the other boys in that locker room in? It's like, ooh, boobies! Okay? We all know how young boys are, and whether this person identifies as being a man, even though they were born female, they still have the female anatomy, and boys aren't going to be looking at, oh, well, they're a transgender, they identify as one of us. They're going to be like, ooh, boobies, boobies. Yeah, they're going to be thinking with their dicks, as all young boys do, and that's going to pose a big problem in and of itself. That is a big issue here. And now, we are not talking about people who have gotten a sex change, because as far as I am concerned, in that regard, if you identify yourself as being the opposite sex, if a man identifies himself as being the opposite sex, he is the gender of his birth until such time he receives gender reassignment surgery, at which point he will then be a woman. The same with the opposite sex. If a woman identifies herself as a man, she is still a woman until she goes in and has the surgery and walks out with a penis. That's all there is to it. Until you have had gender reassignment surgery, you are your respective birth gender. It doesn't matter what you identify yourself as, it matters what you are. And let me point out, I'm not trying to be unsympathetic to people who feel this way, that they are the opposite gender. You are who you are. And if you want to change that, that is your prerogative. I will not pass judgment on you. But until you have had that gender reassignment surgery, you are your respective birth gender. And these boundaries should not be crossed. A man identifying as a woman should not use a women's restroom until he has had gender reassignment surgery. The same with a woman identifying herself as a man. Okay? Just ride the wave until you can get your gender reassignment surgery and then become who you feel you need to be. It's pure and simple. Now, as far as all the bigotry and hatred and everything, again, it's not so much they're trying to be perverted. If they were being perverted or even had the intention of doing any sort of sexual battery to someone, they do it, they have done it, and they don't need to use the gender identity issue as an excuse. They haven't in the past, so what's any different now? And as far as any discriminatory aspects of this, as far as from religious groups or what have you, judge not lest ye be judged. Pick up your Bible. I think you need to read that verse. It's not our place to judge a transgender person or a homosexual person or anything of that nature. These people are who they are, and that's something between them and God. It's your job to love them regardless of who they are or who they choose to be with or who they identify themselves as. That's not your place to judge. We have to accept people for who they are End of story. And just be done with it. So, that's all I got to say on this one. Next video, I'm going to discuss some economic issues. So, until next time, I'm the Tin Man with the Resistance. If you're watching this, regardless of what gender you are the Resistance.